Being a DACA recipient provides you with certain rights that allow you to live and work inside the United States. But can DACA recipients become U.S. citizens? Hi, my name is Andre Mayer. I'm an immigration attorney and an immigrant myself. In today's episode, I will talk about how DACA recipients can become U.S. citizens. Before I begin, please click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you can get updates on our new weekly content. Also, feel free to leave comments down on your thoughts or ideas for today's subject, and please check out our other videos. And if you think this video might be of interest to someone, share it with them. Before we get to the question, we should first understand what is DACA and who qualifies for it. DACA is an acronym that stands for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. It was enacted under the Obama administration to give legal recourse for non-U.S. citizen children who arrived in the United States without legal status in order to prevent any deportation or removal initiated against them. Such remedies only last for 2 years, but can be renewed every 2 years. Furthermore, if you are granted DACA status, you'll be able to claim certain benefits, such as legal residency in the country until your DACA status expires or is not renewed, protection from deportation, a work permit with that social security number, driver's license in just about any state in the nation, health insurance for employers who provide it, and so on. However, please keep in mind that DACA does not imply a work permit for any family members. It's only for the individual. Now, who qualifies to file for DACA? You may request DACA if you were under the age of 31 as of June 15, 2012, came to the U.S. before your 16th birthday, have continuously resided in the U.S. since June 15, 2007 up until the present time, which means you've been in the country over 15 years, were physically present in the U.S. on June 15, 2012, and at the time of making your request for consideration of deferred action with USCIS. Also, you had no legal status on June 15, 2012. That means you never had lawful immigration status to begin with, or any lawful immigration status or parole that you had prior to June 15, 2012 expired by June 15, 2012. Also, you are currently in school or have obtained a general education development certificate, meaning GED, or are honorably discharged veteran of the Coast Guard or Armed Forces of the United States, and you have not been convicted of a felony, a significant misdemeanor, or 3 or other misdemeanors, and do not otherwise pose a threat to national security or public safety. Now that we know what DACA means and who qualifies for it, let's talk about how to apply. So, what is the DACA application process? First, step 1, collect evidence or documents that would prove your eligibility. Step 2, fill out the necessary forms such as Form I-821D, consideration for deferred action for childhood arrivals, and I-765, application for employment authorization, accompanied by the I-765 worksheet, referred to as WS. And step 3, mail your forms, documents, and fees to the appropriate USCIS lockbox, depending on the state and where you live. Step 4, wait for the U.S. to provide you with a biometric schedule. After receiving your appointment, you must show up to the Application Support Center for biometric services or fingerprinting. Take note, you can check the status of your request by visiting the USCIS website linked in the description below. Additionally, today, new or initial DACA requests can be accepted by the Department of Homeland Security, but they are temporarily not granting it. And by temporary, I expect that to be resolved in the next 6 months. Now, on to our main question. Can DACA recipients become U.S. citizens? In general, DACA does not offer a direct path to U.S. citizenship. But while there is no direct path from DACA to green card or then to citizenship, there are options for DACA recipients to seek lawful permanent status. First is through employment-sponsored green card applications. DACA recipients in highly skilled professions may apply for work-based green cards depending on the level of their education or skill. They will, however, need to get a labor certification before an employer can support or sponsor their petition. The real question becomes whether you've accumulated time in the U.S. without permission before getting DACA. This is called unlawful presence. If you got DACA before turning 18, chances are great that you don't have any unlawful presence, in which case employment-based green card is likely a good option for you. If you were over 18 when you got DACA, you need to measure how much unlawful presence you have. If the unlawful presence is more than 6 months or more than a year, it can trigger a time bar for you, which would allow you to return to the country only after serving the time penalty, and only unless, of course, you qualify for a waiver. It gets complicated because if you qualify for a waiver, chances are you have a better option than an employment-based application. And that leads us to our second option, family-based green card application. Those who are immediate relatives of U.S. citizens or green card holders, such as a parent of a child over 21 years old and a U.S. citizen. So you're not likely to be a DACA holder and a parent of a child over 21. But you might be the child of a parent who's over 21 when you're under 21, or you might be a spouse of a U.S. citizen. This means you're married to a U.S. So for an immediate relative, it means that you're either married to a U.S. citizen or green card holder. Well, actually, immediate relative, it's only a U.S. citizen, but a green card holder spouse can still apply for you for your green card. The child or stepchild of a U.S. citizen or green card holder, the parent of a U.S. citizen who is at least 21 years old, meaning your child is over 21 and a U.S. citizen, or the sibling of a U.S. citizen. For marriage, it's important to establish that the marriage was done in good faith, which means that it must be motivated by your want to build a life with your new spouse and not by your goal to earn a green card. Furthermore, it's important to note that cases of overstaying a visa after its expiration or illegal entry to the U.S. can complicate matters, just like it could in the employment-based application. So same is true when you're applying for a family-based application. Again, if you've accumulated unlawful status, which we just spoke about before, it can affect you. If you're here more than 6 months, you trigger the 3-year bar. If you're here more than 1 year with unlawful presence, meaning without permission, then you trigger the 10-year bar. So again, what are we looking at? Obviously, you entered the country without permission, or you entered legally and overstayed a visa. You were in the country for a number of years, and then you applied for DACA. So if you got DACA before you turned 18, you did not accumulate unlawful presence. But what happens if you were here for over a year, then applied for DACA and got it? Well, and then the past 10, 15 years, you've now had DACA. What's the problem? You did have a year of unlawful presence, which means you trigger the 10-year bar, which means if you leave the U.S., you can't come back for 10 years. So family-based application is problematic. Employment-based application is problematic unless you qualify for a waiver. And depending on these factors, you may be applying for a green card either through adjustment of status, meaning inside the United States, or outside the United States through the consular process. And that's where the 3 or 10-year bar triggers process situation. Because if you're adjusting in the United States, you're not leaving. And if you're not leaving, the fact that you had a year of unlawful presence doesn't affect you. It's only triggered when you leave. Now, there is another option for those who went to the U.S. legally, applying for advanced parole, which you are eligible through DACA. This is basically a document issued by the USCIS, that's U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, to those seeking to travel outside the United States for a period of time and lawfully return to the country. In case of DACA recipients, this can satisfy the legal entry requirement that you need in order to adjust status, which means unlawful presence is less of an issue in a family-based context. Now, you do need to be careful with advanced parole. A recent U.S. Supreme Court decision has made getting a green card when you enter with advanced parole less certain. It's an evolving area of law. Just be careful if you do this because the answers differ across the country. Third and last is through an asylum application. If you can establish that you fear persecution and are unable or unwilling to return to your home country because of well-founded fear, then you may apply for asylum and eventually apply for a green card. However, applying for that is not simple as it sounds. You can browse through our videos to know more about the asylum process. The major problem you are likely to encounter is that you're applying more than 1 year after you entered the country. Now, changes, there are exceptions to that rule. Watch those videos. If you're afraid to go back because you have a legitimate fear of persecution, let's see if an asylum is an option for you. And that summarized the path that a DACA recipient may take to become a U.S. citizen. Such paths are not easy and would require an experienced immigration lawyer to expertly guide you in your best course of action. Call now if you would like to schedule a free consultation about your immigration issue, or visit my website, andersmecherlaw.com, to learn more about the services we provide for your immigration journey. If you found this video informative, then please like and share it with your friends who are also applying or thinking about getting a green card. And if you have any idea of future topics or would like me to talk about a particular immigration-related topic, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. Until next time, stay healthy and be safe.